Crew now got to prove that they're the #1 in Germany, and everybody, and I can tell you from the German team, was expecting and looking for this match so desperately. Everybody wanted to see who's up on the throne. Surely this is not a clear indicator for eternity. Nevertheless, it is a display of dominance, and Big Clan was swinging the hammer on Overpass. It got quite close now on Mirage. Let's see what Dust 2 has to offer.
Well, we'll take a look at Big Clan if they can recover things as they start out on the terrorist side. A spot that I expect them to have a pretty decent time on. I mean, Zentaris has been having a phenomenal series, and on the terrorist side, he gets a little bit more room to maneuver around. They moved into this round with 3 sets of utility. Already losing Dennis, leaves only Zentaris with the armor. It's a bit of an awkward spot, but at least they can use these flashbangs to maybe avoid taking any damage. As they push towards the site, Flash is going over, certainly not going to be expecting more. Searson's flashed on long as they close in the distance, up close and personal, though Searson hiding inside the smoke. Speedy pushes through and falls, and we're into a 4v4. But again, think about the lack of armor in play for them. Right. Searson finds it easy to take Zentaris down, and now nobody has armor left.
This is just so ridiculous that now Tizian even prevails to some degree, but the body shots, I mean, you need a few, and then you go. Big Clan, the Knight further access. And like I said, this is the duel where the Germans were looking for it. They were hoping, they were praying, they were interested into seeing who's actually up there. Because Sprout is climbing and climbing on the other side. Big is falling, and they're falling without a parachute too much, really, is it?
Falling quite a large distance. But I mean, look, Sprout have built up a lot of momentum. They start out with the pistol round, it helps them even more. But they have invested heavily into SMGs here. 3 alongside a scout. That buy doesn't leave them a whole lot to work with coming into the next round, where you should see Big Clan getting the majority of a full buyout. They pull out a scout for now, though, with a lot of pistols upgraded. On the back of that bomb plant, they can afford some util to back them up and still have cash in the bag for round number 3. So they're in with a decent chance to actually do some damage right now, along with the fact that they're future-proofed for the coming ones. Any weapons that Sprout lose here, it's going to cost them greatly in the next round. Right. And if they lose that, then they've no money to reinvest, obviously.
As we're talking about that, no tough time for the UMP in this case. Tapson, funny-wise, really on 1 HP. So slowly and steady. I'm a little confused why Tapson doesn't give his Deagle to both Tizian or Gob. But I mean, yeah, that's the way to put it. Flashbang coming on top. First one to now lead the charge is going to be Tapson. In the meantime, Dennis falls down. So things are turning somewhat sinister. Merbits now getting Tizian as well. The bomb down is ideal, Mitch. I don't see anything though happening for Gob. It would be German miracle. You know, do you know the word Wunderkind, Mitch?
Wunderkind?
Yes. Have you heard of that?
I've heard it, but I don't know what it means.
It's especially for a child like what was his name from Complexity, the 15-year-old? Obo. Do you know Obo, right?
Oh, Obo. Yes.
Obo is a Wunderkind because he's a child or a young one who's extremely talented.
Okay.
And it's a German word. That's where I was trying to go. So, it's a miracle kid, directly translated.
There's Wunderbra as well, or something like that, right?
Yeah, wonder is just wander, basically.
Fair enough.
And well, that is a wonder. Talking about that. Good night, Faven. Frag found. And so, Mitch, the man advantage finally on the side for Big. But besides that, I think Dennis is somebody who really needs to prove us that he's the op Big needs and wants. Because so far a little disappointing. On Dust 2, he could show what he's made of.
At least the opening goes their way. Although you can put that down to a little bit of luck, a little bit of skill. Big Clan closing out rounds where they come ahead. That's been the staple of a lot of the maps that they've played recently. The first series, they were closing them out even when they went behind early on. But things sort of decayed as we went over to Mirage. Now on Dust 2, coming towards the B bomb site. Man advantage in play. They're going to smoke off the cross, split through middle. At least that's the plan for now. Things may change, though, as they hear a flashbang aggressively on short, indicating that there's about to be some aggression coming through from Spitty. They could catch him off guard. with Dennis still peeking that. The spams through the smoke. Keto runs through just in time, but gets dropped down, leaving it into a 5v3. And Spitty was heard earlier pushing down here, yet he's still able to catch Dennis off guard.
Oh, it's getting a little nasty, isn't it? Sirson ripping off the hat of Centaurus as he's beheaded with the mobile guillotine. Sirson once more waits this out, and they're coming through tunnels. They're knocking quite loudly and viciously on the door, and as Rishan himself now needs to see what he can do, he's gonna die. And Murbit most likely gonna do himself a favor by staying there on cross and living another day, as massive damage he deals Tapson, tabbing him away.
You can't just sit there for that long tapping away on the cross and think nobody's going to peek you. As you're left to a 2-1 scoreline, Big now. It's a situation for them that is getting a little bit better. You take a look over towards Sprout. They have still got the op, so some warning signs going off there. But Keto's forced down to a UMP. Gobby's not doing a whole lot better. The economy game is kind of back and forth at the moment, but the opportunity to completely shut down Sprout's financial game is on the cards. Gobby comes through with the opening onto Spitty though and continues to aggress. Murbit's now low and the spam through the smoke will be deadly. You can see it happening from the get-go. 2 players ready to eliminate him as it's now into a 3 versus 3 with Searson taking Xantaras. That gives him a much better chance and actually stops Big Clan from aggressing towards long altogether.
Yeah. And then it's Tapson and Tissian. Those lads. Well, right now, looking very desperately how this one will go. I honestly got my doubts that this is so favorable, really. I mean, very honestly here, Mitch, this Big Clan is just not the team made for this map. The statistics are not lying from time to time. It's different competition. In the meantime, though, one close-range player, that's Keto, and he pretty much should seal the deal, except Tissian is about to go ham.
Reloading though, Searson hears it, knows exactly where he is and catches him off guard, still in the tunnel. 3-1. Sprout pulling ahead early on the CT side. This has been a staple of them though. We saw it in map number 1. We saw it for a moment in map number 2, although they recovered it. They get ahead early on. They have a lot of success in those weaker rounds, but once Big start to get economy rolling, then things fall apart for them. We'll see if that's still going to be the case though, because like we said, they recovered that. Their late half play over in map number 1 was really nice up against Big. It was still a close enough matchup, but definitely not one that we expected to see after Sprout's performance on Overpass. Now Big come into this round with just a few pistols.
Yeah. Not
really expected to do too much. Sprout have all the weapons they could possibly need to shut them down. And indeed with very limited utility as well. The prospect of maybe pushing through middle up to B, anything like that, and catching them off guard isn't really there because Sprout should be able to support each other pretty well without smokes in play.
Spitty hears that, most likely. He's going to play it a little more passively here. And Big yet not seem to be scratching their hat too much. I mean, at this point in time, I just want to point out Sprout is, after 16 maps, legitimately nearly 50-50 with Big Clan, and now you can start to be worried, Mitch, a good bit more T-side. We're talking about nearly 60-40, and so circumstances are quiet, sinister for the Big Clan side. Murder with another, that's the meat grinder, and so the Fleischwolf strikes. 2 more to go for the Big Clan. And I got my doubts. Major doubts, big doubts, tremendous doubts.
The doubts are all there, and so are the rounds for Sprout. With plenty of weapons carried forward, they're not really too worried about their economy at this point. And I gotta say, this is, again, starting to really impress me, considering if you look at some of the matches that we've seen from Big, like, sure, Dust 2 isn't their best map, but it does serve as somewhat of a middle ground. Despite Sprout winning the majority of their matches, they are playing against a much lower caliber of team. And as you look towards even the last couple of times that they've played up against Na'Vi, Big got barely anything on the T side, only 3 rounds on the board. Again, a similar story against Astralis, 5. When they played X3 Max, they had a much better time, though.
Yeah, but we're talking about X3D Max. I think that is something we can't really count in. With Faven, though, through the smoke, gets one nevertheless, dodges the bullets of his teammate. Dennis is going to play anti-air for the moment. No further trespassing allowed. And look, Big is still very hesitant. The smoke now starts to fade. The other one comes closer anytime soon. Support from Searson is to be expected. They still got a bit of utility that can make it work. And as you see right there, I'm not quite sure if you're a fan of this patience, Mitch. I'm not too much, because things can start to backfire so massively so soon.
Well, they can indeed, but for now, nothing going down except for Sprout presumably saving some weapons. I think realistically, the best chance, the fact that they've won a lot of rounds, they have a little bit of economy left over, but when you look towards the B bomb site, the likes of an even 3v3 retake, let's say, it's still really hard to get back into the B site without all too much utility to use up. When the T side have the man advantage as well, it becomes 10 times harder.
Well said.
So as we look towards Big, carrying 4 weapons forward, better economy control, but Sprout do get a pretty big benefit from bringing those weapons through. They can reinvest into utility on each player, they can drop over weapons, and have themselves a really well-rounded buy with everything that they need to work with. One thing that we can say, it's been a huge recovery from the last 2 games that we've seen, was the inconsistency that came through from Searson on the AWP over on Sprout. Although he's yet to find opening kills, he's now 7 for 1. And continuing to have that AWP in hand with cash stacked up in him, he's not looking all too shabby.
Not too shabby indeed. I mean, a little later on, I think a very funny story for all the international viewers will be how actually Searson got to be Searson. In the meantime, that AWP hopefully does a change for Sprout. They most definitely want to keep up the immense strength that they have delivered during the beginning few parts of the map, Mitch. And so far, this is where momentum could come in. This is where momentum could start to build a bit of a problem. I don't know how you see it, but we're going to talk about that in just a second. 1 minute left. And Big Clan, I mean, at least the bomb moves over to tunnels. This is still not a clear tendency. Leaving Dennis over on long, who does pretty much nothing at this point. I mean, he can't. Let's put it that way.
Big problem for them is that Sprout aren't rotating to A and playing passive in CT or anything like that. They're getting aggressive. They've taken top mid control, and now as they wrap around, they know that nobody's coming through short, so it's either all 5 players committing towards A long, which isn't the kind of big brain strategy that I think Gobby would normally go for. So they're still leaving their players on B, but with that kill, that forces their hand. They have to start a rotation, but they leave both players, Keto and Favin, to rotate over. Utility being deployed, although Dennis goes down, they've spotted out that long is clear. It might not matter, the kills still come through though. Zantares takes 1. He needs to do it all though. His teammate's low HP, and as he finds that frag, it's down to a 2v1. Bomb under Zantares' control. And Searson with the AWP, we talked about the impact he's had so far in this map. Well, now he's got an AWP 1v2, both players low. Does he want to go for this? He doesn't have the info that they're low per se. Yeah. At least one of them is. It's a hard one to call. If he picks up an AUG, he's a good chance of winning this. Oh, a nade in play. Oh, no.
The thing is, though, if he picks an AUG, he makes a lot of noise, right? And this is where he becomes a little bit expectable. With now that nade, obviously, he is known. And Xantares is going to hear the player just above. Little risky from Searson, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, as soon as you said that, you know, the nade gave away his position. It becomes obvious. He needs to go for a save. He has very little time, 1 versus 2, but continues to aggress, going in through the window. And not a decision that I agree with. That was very risky, and they've lost a very valuable weapon that could have played a large role coming into this round, where it spread a very little else to work with. He's on the scout now. You know, it's not a terrible weapon, but no. Personally, I think he'd rather an AWP and armor.
Yeah, I just imagine it's a safer call in the entire construct here of Sprout. Either way, a tie is coming up, and the story about Searson is very interesting because he never was an AWP until the moment Hunden said, "Okay, Searson, you're now the AWP." And this is legitimately a true story. Alternate attacks back at a time when they still had both Tizian and Searson, we see right there, was a very average team who pracked rarely, who was having major issues. Hunden came in, and he was, you know, when you're like a teenager and you have a dirty room, your mother comes in and you clean that right now. And that was basically Hunden. He exactly did that. Build a good construction about the team, instantly won the German Meisterschaft besides that, and look where Searson is right now. Under that leadership, he started to flourish. Same funny-wise with Quito, same with Tizian. And while we see all three on an elevated spot in the German scene, all three are where they belong right now, and they're basically fighting for some early throne. It's not the Game of Thrones yet, it's a little battle somewhere outside of Westeros.
Somewhere called short as a flashbang goes through and they close in the distance. Spot out there's nobody here playing aggro. Not this time, so they know that long control goes towards Sprout, or at least they should assume that. Smoke down in mid, doesn't see too much reward. Spiddy's crossing back over, hasn't been spotted. So we can support the B players, but Searson is getting aggressive. He has no fallback now. He has to find that kill. Takes down Xantaras and nobody to trade. Nope, getting aggressive through a smoke and tunnels. Should really be traded. I mean, it's a situation. I suppose you're not going to dedicate 2 players to holding that angle, but it's a ballsy play. It works out for Searson. You got to give him commendation for that.
100%. 1,000,000% actually. Tizian moving out, trying his best. Good night, Faven.
I'm surprised he decided to stick in the corner. He might have caught the walls. He was jumping back through. Obviously, I didn't see from his perspective, but now as they move towards B, Gobby's holding the cross. Cut out the rotation. Still 2 players here that can do a lot of damage. Ito starts it out well. Only lights taps him down to 80 though. Bomb plan should be achieved. He's being covered. They can't push in through the window. And now again a 3v4 retake to ensue. The rotate's still being watched. I mean, Gobby at this point, look, they've got a little bit of cash to work with. But he's not actually the one hunting, it's Tizian. And Gobby was over towards mid earlier, but they've left Tizian around here, lurking towards A, trying to catch them off. Luckily, though, Sprout have gone into pit. Now they've got the long-range advantage. Especially with 2 ops in play, this should be a situation that's Big Clan can't really say anything about. If anything, Tizian will probably be dropped trying to aggress forward and hunt these weapons down.
True. And what I think we have to really state here, Mitch, is that after Overpass, we thought, okay, this is the big clan we know, this is the big clan that is dominant, and that is the big clan against the odds. Statistically speaking, they were playing Overpass against the odds, dominating. Now, Mirage was shaky. There were a few little flaws we saw in the setup. I remember, I think it was 10 to 13, correct me if I'm wrong. And Big was going for a very brutal crowbar approach on the A sites, where they were like in the first 15, 20, 25 seconds, directly pushing through. I think it's debatable, and I'm the last person to judge if that was wrong or right. Nevertheless, it felt like maybe a bit more of an astute play could have become very handy. Now it comes down to Dust 2. And this is where Sprout, on paper, is yet again the stronger team. But this is extremely balanced nevertheless.
It is about momentum, though, and as we look towards it, Sprout being pushed away from the B bomb side a couple of times. They've been locked out of some of the rounds that Big Clan have won. It's allowed Big to build up quite a heavy stack of cash, and they can afford to keep on investing into rifles without fearing all too much about their economy if they lose this round. And Sprout not really in the same boat. Oh, but that's an unfortunate opening kill.
Was blinded but had the right timing. Brilliantly done. And especially this very mixed and odd buy from Sprout needs that. Faven strikes a second time, and young Joseph is not to be stopped at the moment in combination with the UMP. Good night, Big Plan. This is disgustingly good, as though Gob tries to do a bit of damage control. Sprout gonna tie it up immediately again.
Well, that's unless Gobby manages to find an ace. Can't count him out, but he has been watched on every single angle. They know he's here. AWP scoped up. Out goes the SG. 1 kill on the board. Closing in the distance. Bomb right in front of him, but Kito's about to swing and take him down. 5 to 5. At least some more damage done to the CT economy, but they had quite a lot of cash going into that round, so it will not hit them too hard. But we discussed this. Big still able to buy back up. They've got themselves an op out on Dennis. Everybody else on the replays, except for Gobby. He's not on the standard AK-47. We've seen this from him a lot on the SG. He's had a lot of impact with it as well. You're going to see overall, he's playing his heart out. I mean, out-fragging the likes of Tabson. And he's been up there contesting the performances of Xantares throughout the series, which is something that you don't really see too often from Gob.
Yeah, it's very funny actually for me that we see the same on Sprout, where Speedy is remaining quite competitive against his likes of Sirison and Faven, for example, which I think you would agree with me on that, expect on the top of the scoreboards, alongside Keto Matey. And that's a little odd to see that right there. I don't want to say it's because of it's a domestic duel. That is the last thing I want to really state with that. It's just going to be interesting overall. Sirison yet again on 9 frags after 10 rounds played. This is number 11, and he continues reaching double digits, and the triple op setup of Sprout seems to pay off at least for the second.
Yeah, for now it's working. It's a setup that in general we don't see deployed too often. Big Clan with heavy utility, they can definitely punish them for it. Both players that are holding down the B bomb side have AWPs. One watching middle, one watching tunnels. It's a risky setup, one that could pay off, but if they're smoked out and flashed as the T's close in the distance, that could be very dangerous. The Molotov in middle will serve to slow them for just a second. But eventually it does look like they'll split out through mid. They don't expect Faven to be here on an op. You can see with the peek that Tabson just made, no utility supporting him. He gets taken down, and we're into a 5 versus 3. Re-peek on the op, Faven's tearing them apart. He knows that at least Xantares is here, but now it's being watched by Searson. I mean, you just don't expect this many ops.
No,
It'll catch him off for at least 1 round.
Oh yeah, maybe there's 1 op. Okay, 2 makes sense. The third, unbelievable. And talking about unbelievable situation, that's gonna be Searson down. Murbit waits back on long. And that duo is not having enough time. And even after time, Xantares, if that was necessary, I mean, sure he has 2k left, but debatable. And the thing which I just really want to point out, many people who know Sprout a little better know Faven tends to second op, for example, on Inferno on the CT side of Banana. We have not really seen that too often when it comes down to Dust 2. And now, dear ladies and gentlemen, it couldn't get more exciting, Mitch. I mean, I said it beforehand, the German community, when this match was announced, was looking forward to see who's going to pick up this best of 3. And Sprout, after just saying, you know, check mark after overpass, forget about it, they're in this, and they're hungry, and they're hot.
They most certainly are. Back down to a double op setup. 3 AUGs to back it up, and this is what we were saying. You know, it can maybe catch you off for 1 round, but then you expect Big to react. You expect them to play much faster, push you together, make sure they get trades, smokes, flashbangs being used to push you back from angles. So Sprout, respond to that by now having an AUG to support over towards this bomb side. Faven opens it up, Keto's there, and now Big realize that they've been baited in. The op still watching the cross, but the trade at least onto a low HP Tabson, that's a worthwhile one as they can now probably get the bomb down, specifically with Gobby still holding the cross. He's been doing this every time they've gone to B. So Sprout are cautious of it, but even being cautious, Gobby is playing well, and he's found another kill. Knows someone is here. He's just going to hold down. Wait, now they're so nervous. They don't know if he's going to come up behind them as they start to push towards the bomb site. Eventually, they assume he's gone through tunnels. But no, he's not. He's behind you. He's taking you down. A Phantom in the night. A kill for him, and Dennis knows where Searson is. Trained in with the AWP, but the timing... Whoa! What? God, what? No! How does Dennis miss that?
He's going to pull through, doesn't he? But look at this HP. It's not much more time. And Searson, forget about it. Forget about it. Either way, Dennis, with a debatable whiff, I would say. Either way, 6-6 with on the edge. And I think if they would have just earlier said, whatever, it's just Scott B in the middle and pushed through, they would have had a 3 versus 1. Surely they wanted to clear out the position. Makes a lot of sense. But they weren't fast enough in the end. Big with the 6. Sprout still got the money left in their bank accounts to use it. Speedy the only one who really suffers in that one. It's an unbelievable back and forth, isn't it?
I think he should have... Well, look, it's a gamble that you make. He thought maybe he'd be coming in through the window or something like that, but Gobby was spotted down towards mid. He'd peeked you. He wasn't on the bomb side already after you'd taken the fight. I'm very surprised that he didn't assume that he was coming through tunnels. Could have dropped the molly there and won it out, but it doesn't work out in the end. It's 6-6. Big Clan winning that round, but imagine if you lose that round because of that miss spray, the tilt factor, no matter which team you are, that's going to go off the charts.
Yeah.
They're very lucky that they won that in the end.
I'm honest with you, Mitch. I'm German and I don't feel satisfied. And you know how those two things go along here is somewhat obvious. Still, oh, and what? That looked pretty point blank on, but I got bamboozled in the end. The thing is, whoever is going to lose this round is going to economically collapse. And in this case, it might be big to collapse anytime soon. Speedy, with an easy body shot onto Gob, is going to deny further access. Same goes for Xantares as good night. Goes to the Turk, and this leaves only Tapson. Good luck, have fun. But the op, accurate as usual.
It is indeed in the hands of Spitty. As we look towards the scoreline right now, 7-6. Sprout pulling ahead. It's a map that I don't think is the worst to see an even scoreline on. So, although they should get up to 8 now, if Big Clan pull it back and finish 8-7, I don't think that's too bad for either team. Although, again, I would rather see Sprout walk away with a little bit more of a dominant scoreline. Very late decisions here, but they're going to be going for pistols and armor, actually full forcing into it. Big Clan making the risky choices. Let's see where they decide to take it. As early on, they're heading towards top mid, knowing that the op setups have been rampant, going for short control, and they're going to try to swarm this A bomb site by the looks of things.
I mean, we saw the danger of pistols on both sides previous on Overpass and simultaneously on Mirage. Good night. Tapson, Sirison, most likely to frag a little further with his op anytime soon. So they decide to go for the A site, which obviously is not swamped with opponents. That's actually B. Nevertheless, Faven's op has so far proven to be good. Is maybe in a bit of a problematic situation as players are starting to come for ramp. His teammate got him covered. Gob is putting him in a problematic situation. Either way, that's the way to do it. And Faven wants to do it quickly, but beforehand, Mermid seems to chime in and take down Gob. Oh, still not. There we go.
You gotta give it to Sprout, right? While this is a far better map for them, we've talked about it a couple of times, the way it's against much worse opponents than the likes of Bigs. You still have to take a look at things and say they haven't been tested against the stronger opponents, really. They haven't got a chance to play this level of team on Dust 2, and right now, it's not looking too bad for them. 8-6 after making the force buy happen for Big in the previous round. It looks like Sprout are probably going to walk away with 9 as they're up against majority Mac 10s, a Galil and a Deagle. So some mixed signals there. You can definitely see a faster play coming through with the Mac 10s, but then again, maybe that Deagle and the Galil are going to want to play a little bit more slowly, a little bit more structured. Going for the close range short control. Nice shots on to Searson. As he lands the scout tag, it's not quite enough. Or the op tag, it was a lag shot. I assumed it was a scout just because it's 15. Yikes.
That's a yikes for me, Doc. And, well, obviously, Big is not hopping in their Porsche 911 to take left lane on the B site. Either way, now the Mac 10s are coming in, and Keto says, thank you for the snacks, I appreciate it. 9-6 it is. Big Clan suffering by 3 rounds down, switching to the CT side. And I'll be very honest with you, Mitch, the thing is, it's not going to turn out to be sunny for Big from what we have seen so far statistically. 57% of their rounds of Big Clan on this map have been won on the T site. 57. So obviously 43 on CT. That's not great numbers, is it?
It's not really, but you take a look at a lot of the time they start out on the terrorist side, so they don't get to play out as many rounds. When they swap over to CT up against Astralis, they lost 10-5 in their terrorist half, and then ended up losing 6-5 on their CT, which is a much tighter scoreline. The pistol did go their way, though, so you got to take that into consideration a little bit. All in all, I think Big early round, if they win the pistol here, they get themselves in with a good chance. But if Sprout find this pistol, I find it very hard. I'm still looking to Big to be favored. I prefer their CT side here up against some of the stronger teams. But if they don't win this pistol, I think you can almost start kissing goodbye to it. The Sprout have built up so much momentum.
I mean, it's time for Stars here. The P2000 not really making it work. And yet again, a quick look on the minimap tells us Big Clan is intrigued to move over A, aren't they? Oh no, they are intrigued. This tastes so bittersweet because Sprout, if they are reacting in time, they realize it's all just B that's empty. And take a look, they could build an entire real estate on that because nobody's even disturbing them. Big Clan, wrong reads, wrong understanding, and a big problem that now occurs. The retake with a site, Mitch, that is so freaking narrow.
They've also got tunnels controlled because of the top mid. The players stopping them pushing through. They've spotted all coming up through the ramp. You've only got a smoke to work with. It's going over towards the tunnels. And pushing on through. Okay, they're finding actually a lot of the kills here. Searson's going to be eliminated, leaving only Spitty behind that smoke. They can go for the defuse. They've not got a kit to work with for now, but they found the final kill, so it doesn't even matter. And that retake works out for them. I'm quite surprised. 3k for Tizian, and again, stepping it up when he's kind of least expected. Now top fragging for his team alongside Gob B. And Sprout, I mean, that was a round that they basically had in their hands already.
I'm a little bit surprised there that it really collapses. That, I mean, massively is a harsh word, I would say, but their understanding was so brilliant that the baits they have sold them was even better. And now, let's see how this one can go.
Well, look, Sprout have won these rounds before. You think back to Overpass, where they had that second round bye, just a couple of deagles in play, and they still managed to walk away with it. We've also seen Big in similar rounds, where Xantares was spamming away on deagles. And these are definitely formidable buys, and obviously known across Counter-Strike, but definitely in this series, they've had their impact. The players have no shortage of individual skill, and look at that, 2 quick deags! Favin and Spitty. Although Spitty goes down eventually, you're into a 3v3. But Xantares is still up with the FAMAS in hand. Look at him tapping away.
And I mean, in Germany you say Handkanone. That was pretty much the hand cannon striking massively into the faces of 2. The thing is, if they really stick right now to the A site, it might be also functional. Xantares, not much room for error. Faven definitely spotted him, and he wiggles around as much as possible because over on long, no, Murbit. That was his chance, and this is now a system about to collapse. Sprout might need to say bye-bye to the opportunity of double digits. Talking about it. Okay then. Alright.
Oh. Yeah, this is starting to get a little bit scary for Big Clan. Bomb's going to be thrown across. Retrieved relatively cleanly, as Favin should get that planted, but a lot of the pressure's on Mervin now to make it work with the deagle in hand. Spam's going through. Dennis on 34. But the bomb's not going to be planted and caught out in the open. Murbit would have to cross over to get that bomb instantaneously and plant it. He had no chance of winning that round from the moment Favin died. It's 9-8. Big Clan closing in the scoreline, but here's Sprout's full buy. You've got the AKs, you've got the SG, the Krieg on Spitty, alongside Searson again on the AWP. Although he's doing better, I think we think back to round number 4, maybe 3. He had 7 kills on the board. I think it was around 5.
Yeah.
He had 7 kills on the board, now on 14. It's certainly slowed down as time's gone on. And again, it seems like when he gets the op out, the performance kind of declines a little bit.
There we go. Entry for Sirison, a man we criticized a few times. And there's hardly any money left. We saw the previous round yet again to be an issue we already faced on Overpass, if I'm not totally wrong, Mitch. An issue that economic stability is not a friend of Big. And that economic stability is once more not granted. The entry found Sirison with a kill, and Speedy is going to be backstabbed by Tizian. Tied up we are yet again. A patient Sprout really looking for openings, and mid would be a position that's attackable.
And that bomb's rotating around to B. This is most certainly going to be a hit at this point. 55 seconds left. They're inching through middle, looking for a pick. Not being granted one as of yet. Up close and personal, Xantares is in a position to catch them, so long as they maintain a little bit of middle control, but the problem for them right now is that they've got none. You can easily see the walk coming up through middle. They can get up to B straight away, so they push through. The bomb is there, and it's taken down. No bomb control for the T's. They have to push back up. Keto getting himself a very quick kill, and he's not been doing great so far. Now the bomb can be planted.
On that B site, belonging to them. What? That was not even looking like it was on him. It seemed like he would rather go for Gop, but he decided, good night, Tizian, and double digits. There we are. Mitch, things might look sinister because, yet again, realize how the economy of Big Clan looks. Only Gop brings anything through. The losing bonus is going to be devastating. They're going to be brought down to 1.4, so the force comes in. If that fails, it's going to be 11-8, where the eco then strikes.
It's definitely a rough spot to be in right now. Sprout are pulling ahead like crazy. A position that, after map number 1, didn't look all too likely. Big, despite coming into this as heavy favorites. Sprout are showing us the work that they've been doing over the last couple of months. They've been an impressive team, even thinking back when we were at Copenhagen Games. They were doing a lot of work there.
Yeah.
They were disappointed to not win the final. I think it was up against Forze.
It was Force, yes. I was actually having a 30-minute conversation with the coach of them afterwards. It's all a very immense thing.
We were talking with them outside, and they weren't happy about it, but I mean, the whole thing about the team is that it's on a constant upward trend.
Yeah.
And that's all you need. It doesn't matter if you're not getting success instantly, you know?
Exactly.
Like you know, oh, you can have a yacht in Hawaii in the next 2 months if you click on this advertisement.
You didn't work for it.
Exactly. You got to get it bit by bit.
Talking about bit by bit, Mitch. Well,
oh man.
Big Clan, in the meantime, bit by bit secured major control over this round. Molly failing, a minor mistake with major consequences. Merbito finds him mid-air, is looking for more, and Sabit Coctasar is actually looking for more and more and more, as he's not so aware about tunnels, and that might be a failure. Yeah, indeed, that's gonna fail. Faven, with only 3 HP, most likely will not stand a chance in this duel, but he's gonna try to play this one smart. Gop is waiting behind the smoke and should backstab him just right now.
A well-played round from Big. The one decision that could have cost them their taps and jumping up on low HP, he was very quickly taken down. I was getting scared, but in the end, it goes their way with a defuse coming through. And now on 10-9, Big Clan stand a good chance of pulling this back. They've avoided their economy being completely distraught, while Sprout aren't looking too good. They can still get themselves out a reasonable full buy. I think that's the thing for Big Clan here. I desperately hope that they didn't come in underestimating their opponents, and I don't know if they did. We've seen some certainly over-aggressive plays towards the start of the series. They've kind of weaned down as time's gone on. As Sprout were consistently punishing them whenever they were getting a little bit too loose.
Right.
Shall we say.
Well, Mitch, it's one of those do or die rounds yet again, where the economy on both might suffer. As yet again, problems are, well, not occurring. TCN and Co. They've remained in their structured setup. No real aggression. Nothing exceptional to be seen. Dennis with a very tight angle and the entry for him. Faven can't do anything. Sprout on the back foot. And they need to see if they don't really find a way right now, then their opponent will be tying this one up.
The smoke in the crawls definitely indicates that this is going to be a hit towards the B bomb site. Zentara is hiding inside the smoke, hoping to catch them off as they push through. The flashbang as Dennis capitalizes on 1 kill. Now distracting them on the doors. Zentaras can push through and try to find some kills from behind. He grabs Spitty. Dennis on another. Down to a 3v1. It's all on Searson. He's got to find an ace. No time to plant the bomb as they're already up close. He's going to plant it instantly, go for the peak, try to catch them off.
Saw him.
Here's a player pushing in. All the legs are hit. Zantara's 15 HP, but he survives. And now on 10-10. Big Clan tying it up. Sprout have got no cash to get a full buyout, so again, it's going to be that pesky Deagle buy, but once more, they've never looked down and out when they've had these hand cannons in hand.
This is so devastating for Sprout, really. I mean, I think it would be a bit of a heartbreak, to put it that way, in case they are losing this best of 3 series. They are fighting so hard, and yet again, before they are actually crossing the finish line, they fail. I mean, it's still a good bunch of rounds we might see. It's still a good bunch of occasions where Sprout has a chance to prevail. This round, very obviously, not the best one to see. So, slow approach from Sprout. Molly to come over short. And that is all the dreams instantly ruined.
You know, the A-Rush is not going to be happening today. At least not for another 10 seconds or so. Eventually they're going to angle up. They have no utility to work with. The one thing going for them is that if they just barrel towards this site, they can probably make it there. Tabson's the only one holding it. They've also got a couple Deagles to work with. So he could be in a little bit of danger. But you have to make a decision, and really you can see what they're hoping here, that eventually they get aggressive, but sooner or later you have to make a play, and the play is being cut down by Taps, and he's already found 4 as they cross on out. He's looking for the ace, but Xantares steals it away. Eco aces, though, aren't really too sought after.
Yeah. And this is where we need to talk, Mitch. This is where we need to have a serious conversation. Because Fabian and Co., yeah, most definitely they are in the situation of having the highest losing bonus in their hands. Yet again, Big has found 5 out of 6 CT rounds. The first, by the way, timeout or seeing, which is very enjoyable to watch that they take it before such a pivotal one. Because if Gob and his crew are going to prevail, it's going to be not only 12-10. Sprout invested everything. Surely they have the highest losing bonus. Either way, it's unsatisfying by now, and this is where things might turn sour quite swiftly. Big, though, needs to deliver by the book. Double op set up in their hands, and if that isn't an ideal defense, I don't know.
Well, triple op, Zesht. You need the triple op out.
I mean, we saw that in the past, but I'm not a fan of triple ops.
Same, but we have got 4 scopes to work with. The AUG and the SG coming on through. Almost one of every weapon in hand. One of every main weapon. If we had an AK here instead of a second op, it'd be perfect. Looking towards Sprout, they're taking a little bit of tunnels control, top mid, outside A long, playing it nice and slow. And this is something that sometimes can be a little bit scary, as they could be playing overly cautious. That nade will not really give away the fact that Tizian's getting aggressive. Catches Fabian with his knife out, needs to get out of there before the spam comes through. And indeed he makes it out alive with a little bit of information in his back pocket and damage done. But it's a small skirmish, one that doesn't give too much of an advantage to Big Clan, as they still have no idea where the majority of the T forces are, and Fabian's still more than capable of taking fights with 65 HP and a one-shot headshot weapon.
And most definitely, right now is the point in time where they're looking for more. Right now is the point in time where the Sproutlings want to grow, but it looks sinister, and the clouds are erasing. Xantares takes down Keto. A is now the main objective, but yet again, Tapson and the boys on the right track to find number 12, find victory, and find the well-needed dust too. And Dennis Reed, good on long, Speedy wants nobody from CT to come closer, forces back Xantares if I see this one correctly. Either way, 30 seconds to now turn things around. Mervert starts off good, and the A side belongs to them. Gob with a major failure? Not yet. Either way, pressure is high on Big because it was looking so good. It was a 3 versus 5, and there he strikes. Xantares is next, and that's a major mistake. Sirason, good night for you. Good night for you. There it is. Eyes closed. 12-10 it is.
He was dabbing, trying to get away, but it's not happening.
Skr.
It's 3K. As Xantares comes in and skirts all over him, as it's a 3K for him, putting him on 17 kills. And again, top fragging for the Big Clan side. He's been having a phenomenal series across the last 2 maps, and it's set to stay the same here. But one thing you can say, things are starting to return to normality a little bit. You've got Favin and Searson up there towards the top. Merbit doing a pretty decent amount of damage, but the real problem that we're having is the fact that Keto and Spitty are finding it very slow to start compared to their performances on the last 2 maps, 1 each. Oh, and a timeout actually comes through. It's going to turn into a technical, as we've just seen, I think, Keto bail out of here.
And not into it anymore. It was a funny story about, actually, I think it was Ince, who had a problem that two PCs always crashed simultaneously, like 5 to 4 times on one map. I don't know how that works. I really don't know if that's some Brazilian magic. Either way, I think we can quickly talk about what we have experienced so fast. If you just joined us, Overpass was a German meat grinder where, well, it was Gob making some fresh sucuk out of sprouts. Next up, it was Mirage going the way of the little plants, and ever since, Big Clan on the CT side, dominance belongs to them. An advanced look at the statistics tells us that Sirasondo plays a pivotal role, or more likely played a pivotal role on the CT side. But now things start to look a little sinister. They start to look a little dark. Tapson asks for not unpausing, probably one of the toilets. And the thing I'm asking myself right now, if they're actually in the team house in Berlin or not, if they're actually sitting together or not, would be interesting to know.
I do not know.
I mean, I don't know either.
Let's pretend they are. Pretend they're turned around talking to each other in person right now. No, it's a technical pause. Of course, they're not allowed to talk.
Yeah.
To stare at their monitors and be very quiet. And that's 100% what both teams are doing.
I have to say that the team house is very beautiful, actually. I was there 2 weeks ago. Very, very beautiful place. Very nice. Very good for a LAN. I think you would probably look very, very focused at your monitor if you would play there.
Fair enough. I wonder what the... So we were talking a little bit before this, right? And although the majority of rounds for Big are picked up on their terrorist side here on Dust,
yeah,
it does seem to be a case that they very frequently end up starting on the terrorist side and then lose the map relatively one-sided. They've had a lot of one-sided losses, so with that coming through, obviously not as many CTs on the board. I feel like they do look better in the CT in general, and it's held up in this matchup so far. The fact that they've been able to recover things. And starting it out, Sprout get another full buy. This is one of their last chances, really. Their economy's starting to go very low, and Tabson taking Spitty out. That's one hell of a way to start it for Big. That's one hell of a way to bring it back, I suppose, as well. Then it just turns his back. Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, that looked like an annihilation back in middle. Painful it is, and there the smokes land towards A. Gob is once more proven the SG is a valuable weapon and a right and good tool. In combination with Xantares, things might look quite sunny for Big yet again, as they're trying to make it nothing else than a 13-2, but what a shot from Faven. Puts it back in a man equalized situation. Xantares still with a spray down, and Faven, is he on a pedestal? Yes, he is. Too high, too tall, and Xantares just too good. 13-10, and Sprout. The losing bonus is there yet again and again and again, but struggles are here.
That's another 3K from Xantares, further cementing our point about him being one of the most pivotal players on that Big Clan side across this entire series. They call another timeout, despite having plenty of cash in the bag. And I like this from Big. You know, they've been consistently using their timeouts smart. They're not waiting until they're losing multiple rounds in a row and then calling the timeout to stop the tilt. They avoid that situation coming through altogether, getting a read on what their opponents are going to have economically.
Interesting. Okay.
So pistols and armor here bites the economy down low, but with the loss bonus, it's not going to be too terrible. Keto, I assume, is going to buy a pistol instead of Glock armor. That would be unusual.
I would have expected a little more.
From Keto?
No, from the spy here.
Okay.
It looked overall like more opportunities would have been there, but yeah.
Oh, I thought even Searson would take a scout. But obviously he wants to take the AWP in the next round, so saving over the cash. And they're very much, it's a weird situation, they're very much focused on the next round, but they do eat their economy pretty low for utility in the next round. There's just a mowdown. One kill to be traded back. Tizian's tearing them apart. He's got a 4K. Get the ace. Get the ace, Tizian. Oh no. Why you gotta do that, Favin?
No idea. I mean, Tizian in this situation looked like a promising ace could go his way, but he gotta be alright, it's 4. I'll leave the rest to you, Gob.
Toxic Favin. Doesn't want him to ace.
This Faven guy, I swear, right?
Get him out of here.
If you have no clue actually about the German scene, if you have your personal list of players you will see go advance in the future, put Faven on the list. trust me, and put Faven and now a very unknown player, Defran, but that's a different story. He's, by the way, playing at the big academy team, so Defran, Faven, 2 players to look out for. In the meantime, we got to look out for a possibility of a 16-0.
Searson's already gone. It's the opening duel again going to big. And this is something that's consistently gone down for them as they started out the CT side. Sometimes we've even seen Sprout pull things back with 1-for-1 trades to start it off, but then things have spiraled out of control. They've yet to win more than one Terror side round, and that was round number 3, the first buy that came through. It's been a long time since that. And although they've looked close in 1 or 2 rounds since then, it's majority of the time just been a dominant showing. I love this setup. Yeah, Dennis doesn't get the kill. He gets the tag, though, and they're definitely not going to expect Centaurus to be here, but the Molotov actually catches him, pushing him down into the open and to 36 HP. Sprout behind in the man advantage, but ahead in HP.
Had an HP indeed. I mean, the damage dealt is quite painful. Faven standing in the flames a little too long, and then it's failed yet again. Same goes for Tizian. And so the approach towards the B site, successful. The molly, yikes. Either way. Does Gob call it off already? He does, doesn't he?
The Terrorist is still aggressing through tunnels. Oh, there we go. He stops eventually. I think he's kind of pushing towards tunnels going, really? We're saving? Are we really saving?
Yeah.
Cool.
It looked very confusing there in the end, but that's the way it goes.
Well, again, you know, making the smarter decisions, keeping the economy stacked up as much as possible. They've got 2 players very high on cash. Gobby and Tabson. Bringing forward weapons just allows them to be stacked up a little bit more. Now, they do still need to bring these through. The other side of the coin is that Sprout don't really have the cash to go hunting. Even despite that, Murbit is getting aggressive up through short. He's in a lot of danger there. Centaurus is holding down in T-spawn. Shouldn't be contacted. I think they'll just save outside. Yeah. I'm really worried about Murbit, though. He finds 1 kill onto Tabson. That's the AWP taken down. And Gobby doesn't want to aggress out to try and find that trade, as it's just not worth it. That's the one thing I really like about Big, and Gobby in particular. A lot of players make the decision of going for exits when, like, if they get 2 to 3 kills, it will do nothing to their opponent's economy or very little. But if they lose their weapon, they get screwed over and they don't have a full buy in the next round. And they still do it. Whereas Gobby is like, yeah, we can afford to peek. He could peek there and still get a buyout or someone drop him a weapon. But no, he plays passive to future-proof it. He doesn't want to play down to the wire of the economy to give yourself as much buffer as you possibly can.
Right. And Big Clan, if there's one thing they want right now, it's just close this chapter. Mirage was not their strongest display, not one of their strongest maps either. Overpass, I think we don't even need to discuss here, Mitch. So, that's dangerous. Dennis, height advantage, and that's the bomb. Now needs to alarm his teammate. TCN chimes in when needed, and that's the contribution you need. The triple for young Feldbush to find them all. And so, Sprout on the back foot yet again. Keto can say good luck, have fun, but that's how you hold down the B side. A perfection system. And Gob's gonna be like, well done.
Very accurate impression.
Yeah,
He doesn't know 1v4. I don't know how I'm feeling here. It's
me neither.
45 seconds left. 3 players just lined up on that doorway. They're not giving him all too much opportunity. His best chance probably to take Gob B and get out of there, but he's no idea Gob's coming behind him. Doesn't matter. Dennis just straight peeks and finds that frag. 15 to 11. Sprout don't have a great buy. They're able to take out weapons on 4 players. Spitty's going to be a little bit low, and I don't think anybody's dropping him just yet. Going to be a weaker weapon thrown over to him. I think they were contemplating maybe Searson glass cannoning and giving him an AK, but instead Spitty takes the scout armor alongside and a little bit of utility. It's not a great buy, especially not from map and series point.
It's definitely not. I mean, this is unsatisfying as hell. And a Nate going deeper. Murbit is not profiting from that. And I mean, this is a big alarm that's going over along, isn't it? Quad, or no, actually all 5 players separated around Pit and the blue box. And they mean business, don't they? In the meantime, take a look. If Sataris is fast enough, I would start to be worried right now as Sprout. Does anybody check their back, Mitch? Hito does.
Walks through the doorway at the wrong time, though. That timing is horrendous. As Antares has all the control up behind. He's Molotov'd off, so he can't aggress forward. They need to make a move. They're forced into pushing right now, or they'll have to worry about that flank in just a couple of seconds. The kill's going down in their favor. This is starting to look a little bit better, at least. As a 3 versus 4 develops, players push completely back off the bomb side. It's CT control with Zantares coming in through short. He's going to start to hurry up. Needs to get over to help his teammates pretty soon.
The gap is so devastating, Mitch. They don't have any further smokes.
Oh no. They jumped over at least 2 players towards the bomb side. Bomb is there as well, so it shouldn't matter too much. Favin finds a kill onto Zantares. Tabson goes up above the smoke.
Oh no!
Above the wall, but he's spotted. And that's going to be the end of the round. I mean, Molotov'd off. There's pretty much nothing they can do at this point. Tabson grouped up on 3 players peeking him above and beside him. Nothing you can do there with an AWP. Not enough time to even fire those shots off. So 15 to 12. Sprout pulled that back. But again, thanks to the economic management of Big, they only have to take 1 weaker buy here. They can take a couple of pistols out and still get a full buy in the next. So it's not the end of the world for them. But it is certainly going to close in that gap. And Sprout are close to finding an overtime. They're only like a full buy and a forced buy away from it. Yeah, and there's a thing I really hate to mention because I never really want to point out individuals doing badly, but both Keto and Speedy have not reached double-digit frags yet. Yet to come and step up. Period. I think there's no real discussion about it. As though this round should not determine the story of Dust 2. We have seen very interesting and diversified play. I think that's a very good word for that. Very diverse plays. And in the meantime, Keto and Co remain patient. They don't want to do any mistakes. No flaws allowed. So over short, and that was also over tunnels. Good control gained. No. Look at the control, Mitch. And they've got everything to work with there. Bailing out. Now they can stack up towards A if they want to. Tizian's cautious, though. He's been pushed back off mid.
And if they right now keep in the close range duels, I see things getting quite chaotic over on the side. The flashbang is there. Was actually a teammate coming in. Uncomfortable, you could call it. Damage dealt. And suddenly everybody is coming onto the A side. We're still talking about pistols, though. The boost tonight got there for known, and he can pray to find anything further as he's looking for any shots anymore. Sirius onto his right-hand side is eliminated. Either way, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. As though 2 fall down.
That's also the first round that Sprout have strung together over on their terrorist side. They've got 2 more to go, though, and Big this time going to be getting a full investment in, and if they lose this, then a force buy. So it's definitely not the easiest road to victory for Sprout, but it is there. There are chances for them to do it. They've got full AKs and AWP out, full util to work with as well. And started to do a little bit better early round. The opening kills swinging their way a total of 11 times with 13 on the board.
In the meantime, I mean, things are still not looking that sunny for Big, to be very honest. Attack Dennis, sure he has the op, so 1 shot needs to be anyway, but overall, no control gained, and short, in a matter of seconds, belongs to Sprout. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that yet, but either way, Sprout is sticking to the plan, and Goppy is a man who I know, and I would be 100% convinced that he knows what's happening within his team structure. But the focus of Sprout shifts over to B, and they lean towards the position of Dennis.
Lit down to 46 earlier on. AWP trained on the tunnels. Peeking out here is going to be difficult if they don't at least have some utility to work with. I think Murbit's going to try to bait for the opera. Searson is there. No, Searson's just going to dry peek it. Okay, he gets taken down.
No.
Eventually the flash goes through. Smoke as well, but Dennis is just going to keep on spamming, and eventually he finds another on Nikito, relocating himself, and there it is! The final shot onto Murbit closes it out, 16 to 13. Man, oh man, it was a close series, though.
Oh, well, Mitch, this was an absolutely insane nail biter. We're heading into a little break, and you better